So tell me, would it be considered bullying if I'm just stating what might be a hard truth?
In this day and age, it might be. I mean, everyone is so offended by everything that it's like everything's considered bullying.
I tend to think it's more just constructive criticism.
I'm not sure you can call it that unless you're also giving them a suggestion on how to change.
I did give a suggestion. It was stop being an idiot. Hello, and welcome to Adulthood is a Project, the show where two sisters discuss the lessons learned and growth earned through the realities of life. I'm Charlie, and you all know my favorite sister, Casey, and we're your hosts.
In today's episode, we will discuss bullying. We will also discuss the ins and outs of whether the anti-bullying campaign has gone too far, or at times, maybe not far enough. Let's go ahead and get started.
Well, just at the start like that, just what do you think? Has anti-bullying gone too far?
I feel like I do have to preface this by saying I'm a bit of a bully.
You are.
You used to join me in bullying as a kid.
I've spent so many nights in my adulthood trying to repent for those sins in our childhood. I said there's a school bus episode we might need to go ahead and just apologize for.
Oh. That one we have
I know.
both felt bad about, yeah. That one was bad.
That is true. Okay, that was bad. Okay. But
I'm going to tell you right now what happened since you brought it up. We have to tell our listeners what happened about how mean you were.
Me?
Okay, I'm the
I
one
think
that
you might have encouraged me.
I threw her coat out the window. And
I think it was her gloves, or was it the coat?
it was the coat.
Listen, I'm not going to pretend, Claire, if you're listening to this, we do really feel bad. We are very sorry.
Very.
For real.
No,
For real. Very sorry.
We sucked.
Oh, man.
If you knew how
We
many
did
times
suck.
we
That was a
talked
rough
about
day at school. No.
this. For us or for her?
Not a pretty moment.
It was not our finest hour.
No. No, it was not.
No. But I would say, as far as bullying, it's not like I was a physical bully, right? I wasn't beating people up. I'm more of a mental bully. I'm going to get in your head and find out how to mentally F your world up. That's my type of bullying.
You're good at it, too.
I don't know if that's something to be proud of or not, but
I don't think so. It means you have a strong mental capacity because you could think of shit like that. I don't know. I'm glad I've never been one of your targets.
Yeah. So I did just want to preface it by saying that I've been a bit of a bully. So as I sit here and tell you that as a teacher, right?
It went too far. I can't even be myself anymore.
I'm not even allowed to bully my students. It's ridiculous.
What's this world coming to?
I kid. I don't bully my students. But I'll tell you, one of those things where I do get complaints from parents, right? Where this kid called my kid a name, and in my opinion, I'm thinking, why are you telling me about this? I absolutely find it ridiculous. I'm just saying, imagine if we had gone home at some point and told mom, hey, so-and-so called me a fat loser today.
Mom, well, were you being a fat loser?
Exactly. Mom would be like, well, stop being a fat loser. They won't call you that anymore.
Yeah, suck it up, Buttercup. It is what it is.
Yeah, but instead, no. As a teacher, I'm the one that gets these complaints from the parents, and I have to pull the kids aside and have a whole discussion about, we use kind words with our friends. But I'm going to be honest, a lot of times I'll pull the kid aside and be like, what did you say? Or, well, what was said to you, right? And so I had this kid a while back who, they said my mom was fat. I'm like, well, is your mom fat? And she's like, no. I was like, okay, do those guys even know? Why are you talking about it? Who cares? If it's not the truth, it doesn't matter.
This generation couldn't handle your mama jokes.
They can't. They can't handle it.
You don't even know my mom. Please.
You don't know who my mama is. So, the thing is, I just am trying to teach them, like, people are going to talk about you, and they're going to say things about you your whole life. They're just going to do it.
Oh, yeah.
Learn.
Absolutely.
Yeah. If you learn who cares? People can talk about whatever they want. I mean, people talk about me all the time, I'm sure.
Especially like this day and age with the internet and like Facebook or social media, I guess, there's so many trolls out there. People just, man, they're getting on other people. And I'm not going to share the whole instance, but I did have something come up, and something ended up in a community group chat I'm in. And it took a lot out of me not to get on there and be like, you people are ridiculous. I know what I was doing, but I held it in because if I get started, they're not going to stop. And I wanted to defend my actions. And it's a little bit of a situation with some dog barking and me, calling some neighbors out on it. And those neighbors decided to get really pissed off that I called them out. And they posted it on a community group chat, like, calm down. Not that serious. Just shut your dog up, right? But the amount of shut the dog up and the amount of stuff on there, I mean, people were being mean, like really mean. And it like part of my feelings got hurt, of course, because, I'm sensitive. But again, the other part of me wanted to go on there and defend myself. And I'm like, just don't, because it's just going to keep like escalating the situation. And by not responding, it'll just stop. And as you were saying, you got to know who you are. And my true self, I know what I meant by doing my actions of sending out the letter. And I knew what I was expecting from it. And I don't feel bad about doing it. And needless to say, also, listeners, if you're curious, the dog barking did stop after the letter went out. So I think it served its purpose, no matter how many people were complaining or siding with me on that. Just saying.
Okay, Karen.
Yeah. Another neighbor ended up getting on there and being like, I totally know what dogs you're talking about, and I hear you. I'm like, thank you. It was getting out of control. A lot of concrete around here for the noises to bounce off of, so it got a little wild. But where I was headed with that whole thing is, nowadays, especially like I said with social media, people can get on there and bully so easy, and there's truly no consequences to those actions, right? Like, no one's going to go and put you in your place over it.
Well, yeah, I think cyberbullying has completely gotten out of control because, I mean, when we were kids, if we were going to say something about somebody, it was going to be a face-to-face conversation, or at least they would have found out that we had said it. And there's a solid chance somebody's going to come punch you in the face for whatever.
Yeah. Or at least like threaten to.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
I mean,
it's like, well, and now I'm kind of tying back into your school thing, but kind of laughing because, you said you can't bully your kids, but I'll tell you, in our day, the teachers were the bullies. Sometimes.
Oh, for sure. They were.
I mean, let's be honest, Mr. K, let's just call it what it is. I'm not dumber than a box of rocks.
Get out of the diaper section.
Yeah.
Or, I'm sorry. Let's go ahead and talk about music teacher as elementary students who used to throw xylophone sticks at us.
And erasers.
Now, I remember.
Erasers.
Oh, yeah. For real, she hit me with a xylophone stick one time, and I told Mom, and Mom was like, well, what were you doing? I was like, well, I hit the wrong note. She said, well, then stop hitting the wrong note. And she won't hit you with a xylophone stick. Well, that would solve my problem. You're right. If I hit some kid with a xylophone stick, Lord, I'd be fired.
Fighting for your job, yeah. You wouldn't even have a job. It's funny that, those kids can go home and complain now, and then the parents are like, oh, poor you. I just believe everything you said. And let's go. You're right. And you're never wrong. And you're perfect. So let's go get the teacher in trouble or the other student in trouble that you're saying was bothering you.
Yeah.
And so then it goes back to, again, then it turns into like no consequences for action. So sometimes those parents at home aren't getting the full story about what was going on or why the situation happened. Right. And then the kid's just being told, oh, you're fine. You didn't do anything wrong. We'll fix that. And I just, oh man, it's just insane to me.
I think a little bit of it that's insane to me is also just how overly involved the parents.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean,
I do not work in your environment, nor do I have kids, so I don't have to deal with that. But I do hear about stuff from, just parents. I hear stories from you and stuff like that. So I hear stories about that. Like these parents are so beyond involved in their kids' day to day at school. And I'm just going to say it, like, for us, it's like, dude, quit being a little shit. Yeah. And
well,
I mean,
think
some of
that's
these
part
kids
of
could really
those-
use an ass whooping.
I think that's part of those, when we talk about the teachers being the bull, well, it did teach us to not act stupid because we would be embarrassed, right?
Oh,
I mean, I get a little bit,
yeah.
I mean, I didn't get overly embarrassed. I'd be like, well, I'm kind of funny. But you get a little embarrassed whenever the teacher's hitting you with the xylophone stick.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, man, well, you're getting called out like that for sure. Or, as you were saying, like, if we had said something back in the day and someone had come up to us and we had to actually answer for the shit talking we might have been doing, like, I was scared to get in a fight. Like, I wasn't trying to get my ass beat. I know. So man.
I always thought I was like bigger than I was. I always thought, I hope somebody does fight me. I don't know what I was thinking. I was like a little skinny rail of a kid.
You were.
And it snapped me like
Who
a
were
twig.
you taking down? We just mentioned in that one episode, though, about me being the one in the family with my pimp hand.
Your pimp.
No, yeah. Like, I'm not much of a bully, but if I need to be, I pull this bad boy out when I need to.
Right. I was talking to a friend the other day, and she was telling me her kid has a who is constantly doing things to her kid. So, like dumping applesauce all over her chicken nuggets at lunch. So then the kid can't eat their.
Oh, that's mean.
It's mean, right?
Yeah.
And so the mom is trying to tell the kid, she is not your friend, and you need to put her in her place.
I was just going to say the same thing. That's not a friend.
It's not. But also, these kids are too scared to put somebody in their place because I think they're scared of getting kicked out of school. I mean, I really don't know what they're scared of.
Oh, like,
they're not.
Yeah,
scared
especially
of
if their parents are the one that told them. No. Yeah, but I'm saying that kid shouldn't even be scared of their parent. Their parents are the one telling them, put the kid in their place. Like, do not let people do that to you. Right?
Mm-hmm.
You got to stand up for yourself. And then how are these kids going to learn that if everyone's just coddling them through, you got bullied? Yeah, I mean, granted, there are times that maybe it's okay that a parent steps in when things get a little out of control. But again, if you don't start putting people in their place now, they're just going to get out of control the older they get, thinking it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
and I think that's
just,
I don't know, it's crazy to me. Yeah, exactly. Because now I think I'm a lot tougher than I am. And I'm like, oh, just try. Just come at me. Go ahead and try it. Really. I'd be peeing my pants if someone started wailing on me. Actually, that's not true. I did have it happen once, and I did not pee my pants. I'll have you know. Thank God. Probably because I was in shock about it all happening. But...
so I was waiting.
Oh yeah, it's a story about someone I knew was in a obviously abusive relationship, and there was some drinking involved, and I decided it was my job to step in, even though this person wasn't, like, they were a friend of mine, but like an acquaintance. I just got to use these words properly. And they were an acquaintance, and I just was sick of seeing that happen. And I probably wasn't long out of like a relationship that I was not ever physically abused by anyone, but just seeing that happen like made me so upset for this person. And so I kind of inserted myself in their situation, and got in front of the dude. And next thing I know, man, no shit, he had me on the floor. And I got a black eye, freaking fat lip, the whole 9 yards.
Okay, I do remember that happening.
Yeah. Yeah, you remember that? Yeah. Filed a police report, and the girl stood up for him and said she didn't know how that happened to me. I was so pissed. I thought, you got to be kidding. Like, I'm literally, granted, it wasn't my job to save you. You didn't ask me to do that. But, like, what? It was insane. So I guess what I was going with that story is I would not pee my pants because I did not pee my pants. I was irate. And my pen pan was not enough to keep him off me. So lesson learned there.
Let's learn.
Yeah.
I always have, and I know it's a little, I just think that bullying provides a little bit of character development.
I mean, it would, right? Because like you said, like working through your embarrassment, when you're embarrassed, if it's depending on who's calling you out for what you're doing, it can also, again, teach you that keep opening your mouth and things are going to happen. It can kind of teach you to be a little more like aware of what you're saying. But
aware of how you're acting in general.
Yeah. And I do not consider myself a bully, but I know what you mean. Like, I know that my personality can be a bit influential, if you will, but I use mine in like weird ways. My mind messing with people. Cause I don't know. I've done stuff where I'm like, dude, this person's just an asshat. No one likes working with them or whatever the case might be.
Yeah.
And I'll just like under the radar get everyone to be against that person. Like, I mean, in the serving industry, that's so easy to do, but just saying.
It is.
I haven't done that. Not like saying I'm super proud of it, but hey, I did use my mind in that. But I've done a little bullying. But at some point, I think that people don't learn to stand up to bullies. And I am not going to go into the specifics, but something has happened pretty recently in my life that was pretty much an injustice, if you will. And in my opinion, someone pretty much being a bully, just hiding it extremely well. And I was the only person that said something. And I got a little frustrated and talked to some of the other people involved. And they're like, well, we're glad you said something. I'm like, yeah, but just because I said it, if no one else backs me up, then it makes it like I'm just the big baby about the situation, which tells me maybe those people didn't get bullied enough and now they don't stand up for themselves because I was the only one standing up for it. And that's frustrating too.
Yeah, that can definitely be frustrating to be the only, trying to stand up for whatever the injustice is or whatever.
Right. And I think that's something you can learn through. Again, I don't really feel like I got bullied growing up. Honestly, I don't know if we've told our listeners, but we're from a pretty small town. So there wasn't, once you were on the bad side of Casey, you weren't really getting bullied that much.
Whatever.
She wasn't that bad. It's not, I'm not pretending like we were all one big happy family. Everyone got along by any means. I don't mean it that way. I just mean it was a pretty small town. So yeah, if you talked smack, the person was going to find out you talked smack. They were going to come back at you. So there were cliques and certain people you just didn't spend time with or something like that. But in general, there wasn't a ton of, I don't feel like there was a ton of bullying going on, like except from our teachers.
Except from the teachers. Who happen to be our parents' teachers. So our parents were like, we don't care.
They're like, I survived it, you'll survive it.
Right.
That's the worst you got called today, please. Back in my day.
Oh man. But yeah, we did grow up in a small town.
Do what?
We did grow up in a small town. I don't even really recall there being like, oh, we don't like this person or we don't like that. I mean, there was maybe a little bit of that, but for the most, those people also had their own friends, and they probably didn't like you.
Right.
I would be
right.
honest.
Yeah, I don't think it was enough to cause like a huge like situation, if you will. Like there was no one. Okay, well, that I'm aware of, no one was stealing people's lunch money or.
None of us had lunch money.
That's true. Yeah, that wasn't a thing. There's no like stealing someone's backpack and stuff like that. Like that was, I don't know. I think that might be just in movies. I don't know. But I do
I
think about
think
kids
so.
today, and I do think some of these kids get kind of. I think the bullying, and I hear about it a little bit in a way different light, than you probably see in your day to day basis. Is it's more of the like mean girls type stuff, and that's just sad to me that we're still like that's even still a thing. Like,
Yeah.
why is that still a thing? We're all human beings. We're all different in our own ways, but in learning to stand up to those mean girls, if you will, like you said, that's where you start building character,
Yeah.
learning what you stand for, that kind of thing.
And I'll be honest, there's a couple of kids. I mean, you'll see it where you're like, I mean, yeah, that kid did hit that kid out today.
And then you just wait to see if the parent contacts you.
I will usually go ahead. I send something to a parent and say, there was an incident on the playground today. Everything's been yada,
Right.
yada, yada. I
Yeah,
mean,
like everything's fine.
If a kid's getting hit, I'm going to let the parent.
Right. Right, of course. You're not just going to let some kid get wailed on at the playground. At least
And
not
I
for
would
too
break
long.
it up. I break it up before it gets too far.
Good. I feel like if
But
I
no.
saw kids fighting, I would break it up too. But I don't know. I'm not. I don't ever see myself in that situations. But I get, like you think about like 3 and 4-year-old, you're teaching them to share and to be nice and to use nice words and to play with their friends. Nice. You do have to teach that.
Well,
So I'm
that's a
not saying.
different range.
Yeah, and I'm in my
That's
head
an
thinking like,
age where that is what you're.
right, and I'm not encouraging people. We are not encouraging people to go raise bullies or to teach your kid to be a bully. But we are saying maybe just teach them to stand up to a bully once in a while instead of the whole, you cry about it and then all of a sudden, yeah, tattletale. Now someone's suspended from school. It's like, and now that I'm thinking about it too, you don't ever know what that kid really does have going on at home. Like the kid that might be being the bully, like you don't have a clue what their family dynamic is and what they might be seeing that you would never know about or even hear about.
Oh, exactly. And especially as kids wise, they don't think about that at all. As obviously in the field, like I have a kid who is, I'm pretty aware of most of my kids' families, and so I'll know if there's a kid that's having maybe a rougher time or whatever. And so if that kid's maybe, being a little extra mean to some friends or whatever, I will totally pull that kid aside and be like, hey man, I know that this and that's going on, but we still can't act that way. Inappropriate behavior. So
right, like you got to learn to. Well, that's how they learn to start dealing with emotions too, right? I suppose through all that.
That's what they tell me. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would think as an adult, then once you hit adult age, you're like, oh, I learned as a kid like this, or we don't just hit our friends when we're pissed off. We just got to talk to them, or so you do.
Maybe that's why I'm having trouble making friends.
Because you just bully anyone that doesn't want to be your friend.
What do you mean you don't want to be my friend? I don't want to be your friend either.
I will make sure you know it.
By the time I'm done with you, nobody's going to be your friend.
I will turn this whole class against you. I was thinking about when you called me the Karen earlier, but I was thinking like that has become, it's like a joke. But how many of those videos of the Karens out there yelling at people or telling someone how to do their job, and they have kids right beside them listening to the whole thing and seeing their parent do that. And then they're like, oh, that's how my mom got some free chicken nuggets today because she yelled at this person at McDonald's. So that's what we do. We yell and we throw a big enough fit and we're going to get our way. No, this has to stop. We can't keep doing that.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, in general, here's what I would tell you. Being around children, if you have a problem, the minute you meet the parent, you're going to find out real quick what the real problem is. It's a very
that sounds about right.
It's a very clear issue where you're just like, oh, okay.
Apples and trees.
Yeah. So
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, like I said, we're not encouraging, don't go out there and be a bully or raise a bully or anything along those lines. Maybe teach your kid how to stand up for themselves against.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Totally. Because I would say pretty much, right? Our lesson learned and growth earned on this, as Casey said, we are in no way encouraging bullying to happen. But if you're in a situation and someone, especially a child, might happen to be whining about being bullied, maybe take the time to actually ask them if they deserved it. Were they asking for it and just hoping no one would call them out, and use the opportunity to remind them that actions have consequences.
And in our next episode, we'll explore ancestry. You're going to get our hot take on it. Thanks for listening. Until next time, go out there and be your favorite.
And if you have a topic you'd like us to discuss in a future episode, send us an email at adulthoodisaproject@gmail.com, and make sure to like and subscribe on your favorite listening platforms to catch all our future episodes.